what you want, what you want.
This is Mungo Dark Matter, and today on Dark Matters we'll be discussing, a tech rant on universal remote controls. Alright. Used to be, when you would get electronic devices, really only the really high-end devices would have remote controls. In fact, way back, before things were all solid state and everything, a lot of the mechanisms to change a channel on a TV, for example, were mechanical, so you would have to put in servos and motors to get the remote control to work. So it was a lot more expensive to put a remote control system into older devices. Once everything became solid state and with ICs and computerized chips in them, it became a lot more easy to kind of tap into that with a remote control system very cheaply. So now everything has a remote control in it pretty much. I've got like remote controls here for the TV set, for satellite radio, I think this is for a DVD. This is a VCR right here, believe it or not. Yeah, there's a few of those laying around. I haven't used one in a while, but I've got a few VCR tapes I might watch one day. One for the Roku, the digital streaming TV, one for the stereo. So I've got all of these different remote controls, and sometimes I have to use them in conjunction, like the satellite radio one I need to use in conjunction with the stereo one, because the satellite radio plays through the stereo, but I can't change the channel on the satellite radio without the satellite remote control. Or if I want to watch something on the TV, I need to use, of course, the TV remote control and possibly the DVR control, or perhaps the Roku control, or even maybe one day the VCR control again if I need to look at one of those old VCRs I have laying around. I've got this remote control here too. This is actually a universal control that I had to get to run some electronic device that I lost the remote for. Well, I've lost the instructions to this universal remote control, so, well, I'm not sure it's really any good for anything, and I don't remember what I programmed it to. Okay, so the local cable company the other day, I guess they came up with an idea. They sat there in marketing and they said, I've got an idea. Let's send out a flyer, and everyone who brings back a universal remote control, one of our old ones, will give a new universal remote control. And then they'll love us. Well, so they send out the flyer, and what happens next? Mungo's phone rings, doesn't it? Yes. Because people went out to get the new universal remote, even though their old one looked fine and worked fine. And even though the new one has no extra goody-goody features. In fact, all of the buttons are different on the new one, and they're harder to read. But the main thing they forgot is that when you get a new universal remote control, you have to program it to the TV and to the cable box that you have. And even though it's the local cable company, they have apparently several boxes that they use. You have old people who have older boxes, and newer customers who have newer boxes, and older customers who just got their boxes upgraded. So we've got to program the thing. So I went over to someone's house to help them out with this, and they gave me the instructions. Now, so I pull out the instructions, and here's another old technology thing for you. If you remember before TomToms and Magellans and GPSs and MapQuest, you used to go to gas stations and you would either buy a map or they'd give you a free map. And a lot of these maps, they folded out, They were folded into a pamphlet. They fold out. You can probably still get these around, but who uses them anymore, right? I have some maps in my car I haven't used in I don't know how long. Because I can simply go to MapQuest and print out exact instructions how to get there on a piece of paper, as opposed to trying to flip through the pages of a big book map or unfold a map. Well, anyway, so these instructions are the type you fold out. And they have both Spanish and English on it. I could see as I was unfolding it out, I saw Spanish words, I saw English words. So I'm trying to look for the section that's English because I don't really speak Spanish, so it's easier for me to read English and figure out what's going on than a language that I don't really know. I mean, I know a few words, but it's not going to help me with this set of instructions. So I'm going through these instructions, looking, turning them over, unfolding them, refolding them up, turning them around, and all I can find is Spanish on there. And I'm thinking, I know I saw English on here. Well, here's the little trick, you know, almost like a sleight of hand, like a David Copperfield written set of instructions or something. The instructions had like step 1, Spanish, English. Step 2, Spanish, English. Step 3, Spanish, English. But the Spanish was slightly larger type. So what happens when you are looking at an instruction manual, which happens a lot, that a lot of instruction manuals have 5 languages in them, and you just flip through it until you find English. Your eye scan for the headlines are the bigger type, and when you see something you recognize like English, you go, okay, this is what I'm looking for. Well, since the Spanish was in slightly larger type, all I was seeing was Spanish on there, so it was a pretty good trick, but annoying nonetheless, particularly when you're trying to do something vaguely technical. I mean, programming a universal control isn't really what I consider highly technical, but it is, you know, it falls in the technical category. It falls in the nuisance category. Anyway, so I was able to figure out where the instructions were in English and everything. Next big problem, they have pictures and diagrams in here. You're supposed to press a triangular and a round button at the same time. And they have a picture of them. They're both together. So I find the triangular button, but I can't find the round button. And I'm looking all over the place, and finally I realize the triangular button and the round button aren't anywhere near each other. Okay, they're not even close, all right? Now, why'd they put the picture of them together? I'm not sure. I guess they figured I didn't know what a triangular button looked like and a round button, and they didn't really have enough space, so they put them together. Well, diagram was really of virtually no help because it didn't resemble what was on the remote control. So I got by through all that, and I need to figure out where one more button is. But because of the color of the text and the color of the remote control and buttons and stuff are small on this, and it's hard to read it. The other one was, the older one, incidentally, you could read the stuff very easily. I need a little bit more light because it was a little bit dim in the room. So I'm giving this desk lamp. Now, I reach over looking for the switch or the button to turn the desk lamp on, can't find it. So, you know, already frustrated by the remote control, trying to figure it out, already frustrated by the instructions, and so this light isn't performing the way that I would like it. Turns out the switch is on the cord, which would have been anyone's next guess, I suppose. But you want to guess it on a desk lamp because that cord would be sitting off the edge of the desk and it would be hard to reach. And so why isn't it, you know, a place where you can just reach and touch the button and turn it on and off? I don't know. That's a mystery. So I use the lamp. I get the lamp on. I find the last button I need, and I look up at the cable TV, and it's playing because, you know, you really need it playing when you're programming the universal remote anyway. Well, Van Heflin's on the screen, and he looks about as distraught and confused as anyone I have ever seen in my entire life. And he is so upset, he decides he's going to end it, and he steps in front of this train on the tracks. But at the last minute, he jumps out of the way. You see the train go by, and a woman's running up because she thinks he's been run over by the train. But after the train passes, she sees him laying there on the ground, and he's okay. And she goes, "What happened? Why did you do that?" "I'll tell you why he did that. He was trying to program one of these universal remotes, and he just totally lost it, all right?" Well, long and short of it, that remote is programmed now, and everything's okay now. all the time it took to program that, and it wasn't just me. Somebody else was trying to program it when they called me. A couple people tried to program this thing. So hours of time are lost on getting this thing programmed so that it works like the old remote. And it has no new features. So what have any of us gained by this exercise? I'm not sure. I know I don't like universal remotes all that much, but sometimes you need them if you've got like a home theater thing. You've got a lot of remote controls that you're using. Sometimes it's actually easier to use if you only have to use 2 remotes, just to use the 2 remotes because you can find the button on them. I'd like a remote that just had like power and volume, mute, and get me to where I'm going button or something. But I don't think that's going to happen for a while. Logitech actually makes some nice universal remotes. I haven't tried any of them yet, but you can actually plug them in and program them to by using a computer. So this sounds like a pretty good idea. Of course, some of their higher-end ones cost like a couple $100, $400. Who knows how much for some of these higher-end, really nice universal remotes, I want to turn the TV on and off. I don't want to go to the Bahamas, all right? $400 is a little much. $10 you can get a universal remote control too, but it's going to take you 2 hours to program it. I just want to turn the TV on and off, you know what I'm saying? So you got to look at the amount, with any technology, you got to look at the amount of effort you got to put in and how difficult it's going to be in. I may check out one of these Logitech remote controls. They actually make some lower end ones. I don't need the $400 one or the $20,000 one or whatever. Although I kind of like using 2 remotes to adjust things. I don't know why. It gives me a feeling of satisfaction. Anyway, this has been Dark Matters, and I'm Mungo Dark Matter. And whatever you do, enjoy technology. What you want? What you want? Come on.